All right, everybody. It is Wednesday night. It is 8:05. It is my favorite time of the week. Of course, my name is Paul Spencer, and I'm always joined with the legend from Philly Press Box Radio, Mr. Bill Furman. Bill, how we doing tonight?
Paul, doing great. 1 week closer. We're getting ready to kick a few off this weekend, and then really kind of getting after it next weekend, Labor Day, with some good football.
Yeah, Bill, you know what? I am so happy that it's here. Soft opening this week, 4 games on the slate. I kind of told Katie last week, I was like, whatever your honey-do list is for the next month, give it to me now because I got to get it done by Saturday, Bill. Because it's time, Bill. It's time.
Yep. And, going to be an interesting season, a whole lot different rules going on. There's all kinds of money flying around all these different places. Players are all over the place. And on top of that, we got all new conferences.
Yeah, Bill, you couldn't say it any better. I mean, new conferences, new players, new coaches. And, Bill, we'll get into something called a QR code. Even QR codes are appearing now, Bill. So I don't know what the hell's going on in college football anymore, Bill. I don't.
No.
I really don't. Well, Bill, we've dove around the conferences. We talked about the major two, of course. We talked about the Big Ten, the SEC. But, Bill, tonight we got to give a little credit to the newly found Atlantic Coast Conference. But, Bill, can we still call this the Atlantic Coast Conference?
Well, I think we have to because they didn't change the name. But as I was looking over, some stuff to get ready for the show, and I think I saw Stanford at Syracuse, or, Stanford playing Syracuse in the ACC game. And I was like, I'm thinking to myself, am I reading this right? Is that conference really right that way? But yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're going to see, and it's certainly different.
It definitely is, Bill. Well, let's jump into it, Bill. The ACC here, last year, Florida State, Bill, they deserved every right to be in the BCS, championship there, the Final Four there. They got screwed. I'll say it, Bill. They got screwed in many ways there. A no-loss team, undefeated, being pushed out by a one-loss team to get in there from a powerhouse division. I get that. SEC, I get that. But, Bill, let's talk about the top 5 teams. In your eyes, who do you have in the top 5, Bill, in the ACC? Well, we don't even have to really go top 5, Bill, because I don't think there's top 5.
Well, I think number 1 is Florida State. I don't think there's much question about that. I think they are not only going to be good, I think they're going to be really, really good. I agree. If you look at I think actually you and I shared this during the week. If you look at their projected starting lineup, they are loaded with juniors, seniors, and fifth-year seniors.
Yes.
They've got a transfer quarterback that came in. I think they are going to be really good, and they're going to make a run for all the marbles, I believe.
Bill, you couldn't have said it better. There is 8 players from the transfer portal that's starting on this offense, just on the offense side of the ball this year, Bill. DJ Ugalega from Oregon State, Clemson. He's been a journeyman. He's no slouch, Bill. He can come in there. And you have 4 players from the SEC, Bill, that's coming over. A running back, Royce Rodell, Malik Brown, a wide receiver coming in. Bill, they are loaded top to bottom. I know they lost Jordan Travis, Bill, but they still have a reloaded quarterback. They went out and got DJ. This team is poised to be there, Bill.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think they're going to be really good. They've got a couple tough games along the way. Certainly, they play Clemson, and I will put Clemson as my number 2 team. But they also have to play Miami, and they have some other, games that they have to play. But Florida State is certainly the team to beat in the ACC.
I agree. They're loaded, Bill. Even on the defense side of the ball, they reloaded there. They got 5 players in the transfer portal, too. And these aren't slouches either, Bill. Auburn, Florida, 1 from Alabama, too. And it's great to see, players in the top category, Bill, Bama, Georgia, decommit and transfer to Florida State because Mike Norvell is building something, Bill. And these players actually see that, and they're going there, Bill, because that's a chance to win the title. And I think there's a target on their back, or I don't want to see a target on their back. I think it's a target on the BCS committee's back, Bill. Once they get there, they're going to show people, wow, you left us out. Well, you can't leave us out this year because we're better.
Yeah. I call that a chip on the shoulder. They definitely have a chip on their shoulder, as they should. I think they're going to be really, really good. Circle on your calendar Saturday, October 5th, when Clemson goes to Tallahassee.
Yeah. And Bill, they have a pretty tough schedule. I mean, look at their games. I tell you what, September 28th, Bill, SMU is pretty damn good too. I mean, they like to put some points on the board too, Bill.
Yeah.
That could be, a. I hope they don't overlook this game, Bill. I really don't. It's an away game. They're going to, SMU to play them, new in the division here. I think they could put up a good game, but man, Florida State, Bill, they have the horses.
Yes. I'm all in on Florida State, and I'll follow that up with Clemson. I like Dabo. I think he does a nice job there. I saw some predictions again as I was trying to get ready for the show that has Miami as the number 2 and Clemson as number 3, with the only loss from Miami being to Florida State, with Clemson losing to Georgia and Florida State.
Okay.
As one of them being a non-conference game. So, I think Dabo stays out of the portal. He doesn't lose people to the portal. Whether we're going to find out if that is an approach that he can continue on, or if he ends up sitting next to Nick Saban broadcasting games, because he's not going to get all involved in all the QR codes and things.
Yeah, I agree, Bill. I mean, Florida State, Bill, they have if they can get through this schedule, Bill. I mean, their schedule in the ACC. I get who you're playing, but Bill, I mentioned SMU. You have Clemson. You have Miami. Bill, they play Notre Dame this year. On November 9th. And then they follow that up with 2 weeks later, they play Florida, another home game there. But Bill, if they get through this schedule, even with Bill, I'll be honest with you, one loss in this schedule here, I think you still have to put them in the top 10. I mean, it depends how you get beat on that one game, Bill. But this schedule is no slouch ACC schedule, honestly.
Yeah, and I think as we talked in the last couple of weeks, I think one loss is fine. 2 losses may be fine.
Right.
To get you, going to get you into 12. You may not get a home field game if you get below 6.
Right.
But I think they're in good shape there. Even with the tough schedule, they can lose 1 or 2.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, their schedule is loaded. Their team's loaded. Mike Norvell's just sitting there like, what? People shunned us out last year after we lost our quarterback. You didn't want to put us in. There was a lot of players from Florida State, Bill. We talked about Johnny Wilson. He's with your team with the Eagles. There's a lot of players. Jared Verse is in the NFL now. Reloaded, Bill, but I don't think they reloaded. I think they got a 12-gauge shotgun, Bill, and with unlimited ammo on this team this year. They went out and did their thing.
Yeah, and Mike Norvell deserves a lot of credit to, I think, with playing within the rules.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of reloading what you said, 6 on offense, 5 on defense, starters from the transfer portal. I'm not a real fan of that, but that's the rules. So utilize the rules he's not doing anything illegal. It's just not the old way. And he's doing it as well as anybody.
Yeah. I mean, even when you get players, from LSU, Bill, their wide receiver, I think Malik Benson, he was one of the 3rd wide receiver last year. He would have been the top receiver this year for LSU. He transfers out. He goes to Florida State. I guess when you get a top quarterback out that can run, throw the deep ball too. Bill, I mean, before we move on to the second place team here, second in the projected here, do you think DJ could be a Heisman candidate now, Bill? I mean, they're loaded, Bill.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, right as we get ready to start the season, I don't know that I see a clear-cut Heisman candidate.
Agree.
But, yeah, why not?
I agree with that. I mean, they're loaded, Bill, wide receiver, running back, even the offensive line is basically, just like when we text back and forth, Bill, that entire team is upperclassmen starting, 22 starters, basically, juniors, seniors, and even graduate players, Bill.
Yeah, and again, credit to Mike Norvell for working the system and playing it the way it's supposed to be played, and or it's allowed to be played, and they're going to be good. They're going to be really good.
Yeah, I agree. He did his job. He recruited well. He put that name out there. Hey, Clemson, Florida State, we're hiring, Bill. We're hiring here. Come on over. We got a good.
And we're paying. Wage. We're hiring and we're paying.
Yeah. We start you off with a good starting wage.
Right.
Come on over. Well, Bill, who do you want to talk about next? A lot of people have Clemson. A lot of people have Miami. Where do you lean toward, Bill?
I said this before. Miami needs to show me. Every year we're having this conversation about them, and every year they don't get it done. They start out beating FIU or FAMU or some of those schools, and they run up 70 and they're going to do this and that and this and that, and then they end up a 500 team. It's time. It's time. And a lot of people, speaking of the Heisman, a lot of people feel like they have the best quarterback in the country.
Yeah.
Which surprisingly didn't get signed, if that's the right word we use these days for college transfers. Didn't transfer and get signed until pretty late in the process.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of the last man standing with the last school available. It ended up being the Miami Hurricanes, and he is being touted as maybe the best of all of them this year so far.
Yeah, Cam Ward, Bill. He's a good quarterback. Watched him last year in the Pac-12 play a lot of games late at night. He reminds me. He reminds me of a Jaden Daniels in some ways, Bill. He's very athletic, has a strong arm. But this Miami team, Bill, you're coming to a team that had a lot of letdowns last year, Bill, losing, crucial games, bonehead mistakes. But I don't know, Bill. I mean, he's a journeyman. He's been around for a while. He's up there in age, actually, Bill, which we'll talk about a little bit later, too. But do you think this team has reloaded in a way to, Bill, I'm not going to say past Florida State, Bill. I'm not going to say that yet. Just like you said, you have to show me something. You have to prove me wrong. Prove that, what your team is reflects the record that you really are, not mistakes that you made, put it that way. But where do you have this team fallen, Bill? I mean, what do they need to do on the field to be successful to compete with Clemson and Florida State?
Well, they got to beat them for one.
Yes.
But they've struggled in games with North Carolina.
Yeah.
They've struggled at times with NC State.
Mm-hmm.
They've struggled with Pitt.
Yes.
At times. Yes. I mean, those games should be wins. And I believe they play Virginia Tech at home on a Friday, mm-hmm. which is better to be at home than be at Virginia Tech.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
And Virginia Tech, we'll see how they come out. But, those are games that Miami should win. And then you get up for your handful of big games and you knock people off, especially the ones you get to play in Miami. So, I always hold out on them because I don't trust them because they just haven't gotten it done.
Yeah, I mean they went out in the portal too, Bill. Of course, they got Sam Ward. They have two wide receivers, Xavier, I forgot, Restor Pro or something, and Samuel Brown from West Virginia. But they went out and got a solid offensive lineman too, right. Bill. Zach Carpenter from Michigan. He's solid, Bill. He can solidify, and he's a center, Bill. That's your offensive general, on the field right there on the line. So maybe that's a good pickup too, for Miami. Maybe he's the right piece, but Bill, they still got to show me on the field, man. They really.
Yeah. Well, they did go after interior people on both sides of the ball to strengthen that, but so did everybody else. Mm-hmm. So put up or shut up for the Miami Hurricanes, as far as I'm concerned.
Bill, before we move on to the other team here, do you think that somebody by the head coach could be on a hot seat, Bill?
Mario?
Yeah. Do you think he is?
No.
Okay.
I want to say they signed him to an 8-year deal, 10-year deal.
But Bill, does that money really mean anything? I mean, we see buyouts all the time, Bill.
Yeah, but he's not. They're not going to go 3-9.
No, they definitely will. They would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know they're going to be in the final 12, but they're not going to stink.
But Bill, let me ask you this. Okay, I didn't write down their entire schedule, Bill, but they play the really true ACC schedule. Bill, their two top games are Florida and LSU. Bill, they can win. They can actually go 10-2 really easy, Bill. If they win one of these games, we're talking 11-1. They win those two games, we're talking 12-0, Bill.
Yeah. This thing that I looked up had them lose to Florida State, beating Florida, Florida A&M, Ball State, South Florida, Virginia Tech, at Cal, at Louisville. They're
going to be tough. They're going to be tough.
Yeah. Duke, at Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and at Syracuse. They got a couple games to win there, and the rest they should win.
Agree. 100%.
I mean, a 9-3, 8-4 season with that schedule, to me, would probably be disappointing.
I agree. Based on that schedule there, I'm at least looking at 9 to 10 wins, Bill, to say it is a successful season based on we are the Miami Hurricanes.
Right. So if they were to lose to Florida State and then get knocked off somewhere on the road,
Sure.
Louisville or somewhere, um, 10-2, 9-3's got to be where they need to be.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Larry checking in. He's actually a Miami fan. He's one of the hosts on our network. He does a wrestling show called The Part-Time Marks Tuesday night. Right on time to talk about the U. We're going to be, this is our year, basically, I promise. Larry, I will be honest with you, just like Bill said, you got to show me something on the field first before we say, congratulations.
Larry, we've been hearing that for a long, long time. It's time to show me.
Yes, and we're not talking show me the money. We're talking show me the wins, Bill.
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's talk about a team that doesn't believe in the transfer portal, Bill. Let's talk about Clemson here. Bill, I don't think there was one transfer in and out. Was there?
No, I don't think there was.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't think there was. I mean, I don't know that anybody left. I know no one came in.
Agree. Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody left just because they decided to leave, but no, I don't. I know no one came in.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's something crazy, Bill, because you look at Florida State, went out and transfer portal, 6 players on the offense side of the ball, 4 on the defense side of the ball, and then Clemson, they don't reload, Bill. They just promote from within, Bill. I guess it's that seniority line. Hey, Bill, you know what? You didn't start this year. You're next in line. You're starting next year. Do you think that's a good thing, Bill, or how do you see that? I know it builds camaraderie around the school. I get that. And I guess that stays away from the transfer, Bill, because next man up, you truly get your shot here, Bill.
Well, yeah, and I think if it can withstand,
yes,
I think it's tremendous. I think it's what college athletics is supposed to be about.
Mm-hmm.
And to Dabo's case, he's building an organization, and he's building what teams are supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And the kids are going to get educations. Imagine that. We don't even talk about student athletes anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I think it's tremendous, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I love Dabo because, Bill, we're old school, and we talk about when you get a commitment to go there and you're getting a free education, plus you're playing a sport that you love, you feel, fulfill your engagement there. This is old school football to me. Dabo's doing it right for me, Bill, because he's getting his players. They're on commitment. Bill, they're staying for 3 to 4 years. They're getting their education. Then they're moving on, Bill. They definitely are.
Now to look at their schedule, they got a couple softies in there too. They got Appalachian State.
But Bill, Appalachian State, they knock off some teams, Bill.
Well, they beat Michigan about 30 years ago, and they're still talking about it. But yeah, I get that one. Citadel, they're probably not beating anybody.
I didn't know what they had a team anymore, Bill.
Then you got North Carolina State, Stanford, at Wake, Virginia, Louisville, at Virginia Tech, at Pitt, Citadel, and then South Carolina for the big game. Mm-hmm. Big rivalry game. Georgia and Florida State as their losses.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, again, there's a team that should go 10-2.
Mm-hmm. I have them going 9-3, Bill. I think somehow they lose a trap game. Either it's going to be a Virginia Tech or the Louisville team, Bill. I think it's one of those teams that can shock them because when you're playing in this division, Bill, and everybody has the right to be there. This schedule is not the toughest for any team, Bill. That one game where you look at, I think it's going to be the one game that they're not in Death Valley, Bill, against Louisville or Virginia Tech. I think.
Yeah, no, it very well can happen. Anytime you're going on the road, things can happen. The good thing for them on this schedule, though, is they do play Stanford. They play them at home. Mm-hmm. And they also play that rivalry game in South Carolina at home.
Yes.
So no far west trips. Don't go to Syracuse. Mm-hmm. They're pretty much right in the old ACC schedule.
And a lot of people don't look at that, Bill. We talk about the Big Ten, our first week, you're talking about this. We talked about that, how you're flying from your division, in the Midwest, basically right there, and you're going all the way to the West Coast, USC, Washington, Oregon. Within a week, that takes time on you, learning that schedule. But it's a good thing for Clemson to play, in the North Carolina area, in that, South Carolina area. You're not leaving that area to go West Coast, like you said. That's really big. I mean, even though it is against Stanford, Bill, I get that, but still, it is a travel issue to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you have to go cross country and play in somebody else's house, mm-hmm. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean their roster, Bill. I didn't go through it a lot. I was just reading about it a little bit, writing a couple names down. Their quarterback, Cade Klubnik, he's a good quarterback. He's smart. He's can read the pocket, climb the pocket, get the ball downfield. But the one thing, Bill, you guys picked up one of their draftees, Will Shipley. That
Yep.
running back they had, solid running back and cracked the squad, maybe like a third back for you guys. But Phil Maffa, man, I watched this guy play Notre Dame last year, Bill. And I thought he was, all world, all American running the way he did. Big back. I think he had like 140 yards against Notre Dame's top defense.
Yep.
They're loaded there, but there's a lot of positions, Bill, that I could see that they really need some help in. And Dabo, there is still a thing called the transfer portal for next year. I'm just saying,
We're going to find out.
I think so.
Like I say, we'll find out if that philosophy can withstand the test of time.
Definitely.
I think, you've got to have great recruiting classes.
You do. Mm-hmm.
And maybe they got enough money coming into these young kids that they're able to get them and keep them, or he's going to fall off and he'll be sitting next to Saban in the broadcast booth.
Bill, quite a few years ago, we used to call Clemson like the QB factory.
Yeah.
Now it's we're not that anymore. We're not the QB factory. Going back to Heisman Trophy winners, back from Deshaun Watson. Now, the latest Trevor Lawrence, of course, years ago. But Bill, there is another team. I was actually forget about this. Let's go Irish, Bill. Let's talk about them, Bill. Not in the ACC, Bill, but they do play that ACC schedule, Bill.
Yeah, I certainly have not looked at everybody, but Notre Dame,
cupcake,
uncharacteristically has the softest Notre Dame schedule I can ever remember since the 60s when I started watching college football. Yeah. Very unlike Notre Dame.
But I think I texted you. I even said in the text message, wow, I think this is the easiest schedule I've ever seen for Notre Dame, from when I could learn how to walk, basically.
Yeah.
And the word, Bill, is cupcake. They do have a couple games. The opening game, Bill, if they can get through that, I think they legitimately have probably the easiest chance to get in the BCS top 12, Bill, honestly.
Oh, yeah. They're at Texas A&M, Kyle Field. That'll be bouncing. That'll be good.
Yes.
That'll be good. Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami, Ohio. Come on now. Right? Then Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech. They're all terrible. Louisville, maybe not. Navy, come on. Florida State at home. Or that's neutral, I believe, isn't it?
Florida State is at home. It's in South Bend.
Is it at home? Okay. Then Virginia, they're horrible. Army is Army. And at USC. After USC's just going through an entire Big Ten schedule.
Yes.
And they're last on the list.
Yes.
If this team isn't 12-0, there's something bad wrong.
Well, Bill, if they go 11-1, their only loss is Florida State. Where do you put them in at?
No, they're good. They'll be. Okay. They should be in. Some of those 1 and 2 loss teams in the other conferences might be ahead of them. Yeah. But if you're 11-1 and you're Notre Dame, you'll probably be in the top 6. You probably get a home game.
Yeah, they're going to fall in that category, Bill. Even though they're not considered ACC, they're going to be that top non-Power 5 team school that gets in, unless one is undefeated, of course. Which there might be a couple, out there, non-conference teams out there, not Power 5. But Bill, they have to go at least 11-1 here, Bill, because they're just like you said, that schedule, Bill. There is only 2 teams that I marked on this: Texas A&M playing at that, away week 1, this opening weekend, and then Florida State, Bill. I'm not even. My friend asked me, he's like, "What about USC?" I'm like, just like you said, Bill, playing that gauntlet schedule USC plays. To me, I said by this time, they're already looking at the players that's going to transfer on next year to go somewhere else, Bill. They could care less,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that they have to go out there, at the end, and maybe USC has a good run. Mm-hmm. We'll see. But sure. I would still consider that a quality opponent.
Agree.
So they've got 3 quality opponents on this schedule, and 1 at the beginning, 1 at the end, and 1 in the middle.
Yeah. Are you going to? You're saying Louisville, correct?
No, Texas A&M, Florida State, and USC.
Okay.
And Louisville would be my 4th one.
I hate Louisville, Bill. I have bad words for Louisville because they knocked me out last year, Bill. Going to Louisville last year.
No, they didn't. Notre Dame stunk it up out there. You know it. We talked about that. They played
Yeah,
terrible out
you're
there.
right, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for really reliving that for me. Okay. No, but Bill, how do you feel about Riley Leonard coming over, Bill, from Duke? I mean, I actually circled that game, Bill, because they do play Duke this year. Going back there to playing your old team. But Bill, I tell you what, and it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing because we had last year Sam Hartman, Bill, and his worst game was against Wake Forest, Bill. They know you, they've seen you, they've coached you, and they know how you play, Bill. They know your tendencies. That was his worst game of the year. How do you think Riley Leonard's a little bit different than Sam Hartman?
I don't know that he is. To me, he's very similar of a quarterback.
Yeah.
Whether he more fits into what Notre Dame wants to do offensively, where if you were to get a guy at Cam Ward, say, and bring him in there, that's not the system you're running. It's not the things you want to do. So are they looking for a guy to fit in? And that's why they got Leonard. I don't think, especially after watching how things worked out with Sam Hartman, I don't expect him to be bad. Right. I just don't know that I expect him to be, talking about him in the Heisman race.
Well, I was looking at the early Heisman, Bill. They have him projected top 4 quarterback right now, just coming in. I think it's way too high for that.
Yeah,
way too high.
Way too high.
I mean, it tells me that they're really going to run the ball because they have 2 underclassmen that really ran the ball last year. They lost Audric Estime, but they have Jeremiah Love, JD and Prince, top 2 running backs for their category. They lost Chris Tyree, their best wide receiver, but they're young and they're stacked, Bill. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. I think they're going to go back to, the Ricky Waters, Rodney Culver, Jerome Bettis type days. Notre Dame football, it started up front. I think that's where they do, and just try to push the ball downfield when it comes to them, Bill. They're not
agree 100%.
Sam Hartman, let it fly. Go ahead and throw for 354. That's not going to win you games, Bill. And I don't know.
And be good on defense.
Exactly. They are going to be good. They are going to be good on defense, definitely.
Yeah. Like I say, I don't see any reason that they're going to lose any games or many games.
Kurt says, who's getting 9 wins? Lightning, not the Canes. Oh, he's talking to Larry. That's his co-host on the show. He calls him Lightning. Canes. Listen, Miami has to get 9 wins. If they don't have 9 wins, 9 to 10 wins, you know what? You get a big F on my checkboard. Yeah.
Well, and back to conversation we've had in both of the last 2 weeks. 9 and 3, you're probably on the outside. There'll be enough 2-loss teams, 0, 1, and 2-loss teams to fill up the top 12 slots. So 3 losses, you're going to be out.
Agree.
2 losses might put you at number 5. It might put you at number 12. But it's going to fit you in there somewhere. And I think when you get to 3 losses, you're going to be on the outside.
And Bill, that's 100%.
Especially if one of those losses is not to, let's call it, a quality opponent.
Yeah, Bill. I mean, Notre Dame better not lose a game unmarked, because if you lose that, your strength of schedule is. Appalachian State has a tougher schedule than you do this year, and that's hard to say, but they do. But Bill, I agree with you. I think at least, Bill, I could see probably 3. Miracle-wise, 3 Big Ten teams, 3 SEC teams could get in this top 12. Bill, honestly, I mean, 9 and 2 and then SEC, 9 and 2 in the Big Ten goes a long way from saying an ACC 9 and 2 team.
Right.
It does. Yeah.
And if you throw Florida State in there, and say you throw Clemson or Miami or whatever, now you've got 10. We've already counted for 10 teams.
Yeah.
8 to 10 teams. So those last few spots are going to be tough to come by. A lot of teams are going to beat a lot of teams.
Yeah, I was reading something a little bit later today. I was at the doctor's. I pulled up something, some kind of. I don't think it was Bleacher Report. I think it was just someone were saying that Notre Dame doesn't play the ACC schedule, continue-wise, that they are part of that. But if their only loss is to Florida State, they still are going to be the top non-Power 5 team, Bill, to make the BCS standings. But, Bill, I don't agree with that. Even being the biggest Notre Dame fan, I don't agree with that, because your strength of schedule, Bill, is not what it used to be. And, Bill, today's day and age, we don't play for style points anymore, Bill, like we did before. So I don't see them. If they go undefeated, they're in. If their only loss maybe is to Florida State by less than 7 points, I can agree putting them in. But if not, Bill, if there's a close game in there, I'm putting a check mark right there, a little asterisk there, saying, remember that game.
Yeah, well, I have two train of thoughts on Notre Dame.
Mhm.
One is if they're in that situation you're talking about. One is it's the Notre Dame brand, and you want them to be
Yeah,
part of that. You
of
know, you
course.
want to be part of the playoff. The second one is if you leave them out, they're going to find a conference.
Very true.
So if the
Very true.
NCAA is not happy that they're holding out,
Agree.
uh, they can certainly twist some things around under your scenario to leave them on the outside looking in, and then they'll find a conference.
That is true. That is true. 100%, Bill. But let me ask you this: if here's this hypothetical question. Later on, let's say if Notre Dame get to the BCS, but the top 12 here, what happens with their TV rights, Bill? Because they've backed out of bowls before, Bill, saying that's not enough money for them. They make more money playing on Notre Dame Network. Do you think that ever comes into play before they join a conference, Bill? If they ever do join a conference?
Oh yeah, everything's about money.
I can see them backing out somehow, Bill. It's not enough money. It's not enough money. Even though we're top 12, we're sitting at 8. We're away game. No, we don't want to play an away game on Fox or ESPN. It has to be on NBC. We don't want to play because NBC gives us $10 million a game.
Right. I think, and it depends on where you're going to put them. If you're going to put them in the Holiday Bowl, or you're going to put them in the Rose Bowl or the Orange Bowl, there's that as well, and you're not going to get the following at the Holiday Bowl. Not a bad bowl, but it ain't the Rose Bowl. It ain't one of the big 5. So but heck, money plays into everything. Now, if you do turn it down, then you talk about really upsetting the apple cart. Now all of a sudden people really have a problem with you.
Yeah, I mean, it was 3 years ago, Bill, when they went to the Pinstripe Bowl. Forgot who they played. I think it was, I forgot who it was. I actually had tickets to that game, and there was rumors that they might not even accept the bowl game, Bill.
Yeah.
It's a lackluster bowl. It's close to us, of course, New York. I would go to that, but we don't want to go to it because we deserve better. The money, it costs us more to fly our players out there and stay in a hotel than money we're getting for the school here. So, I can see it happening. I can definitely see it happening, Bill.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, don't ever lose sight that this isn't about the money. It's all about the money.
Yes, Bill. But you know what, Bill? Speaking of that, any more teams you want to talk about with the ACC before I want to?
The only one I want to throw out there, and I just think it's about time they get better, is Syracuse.
Bill, they have a quarterback, Kyle McCord.
They have Kyle McCord at quarterback. They got Fran Brown as the new coach, who left Georgia where he was coaching the DBs. He's been around. He's a pretty good coach as far as we know. First year at Syracuse. Syracuse in the day was a pretty good football program. Yeah. Had been for a while. I kind of expect that they're going to be better. Whether they're going to be 6-6, I don't know. But I think they're going to be a lot more competitive. And back in the day, the Carrier Dome was a fun place for college football when they were raising the roof off that place back in the day.
Bill, have you ever been to the Carrier Dome?
I have been in it, but not for a game.
There's no
game going on.
I tell you what, Bill, going off subject here, I watch a lot of, their games there, the Orangemen, of course. That Carrier Dome, Bill, it looks like you can fit 3 or 4 stadiums inside that dome. That's how big it is, Bill. Just by the eye test, number one. I've never been there. I definitely want to go, But, Bill, I agree with you. I think they do have to get better. They didn't really utilize the transfer portal, big names out there. I think they're still a growing team because when you've got animals in the ACC, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, they get the best players, of course. You basically get, tier 3 players going to these other schools. But no knock on Kyle McCord here. But, Bill, do you think he had to give back that Mercedes?
Well, yeah. Yeah, it was probably at least. Yeah, that's probably part of the deal. It had to go back. It probably never ever belonged to him.
No, I don't think it did.
I would say so. Now he might have got one at Syracuse.
Yeah,
but I would say he did.
Yeah, Bill, I tell you what, if I'm transferring and the first thing I'm saying, I'm going to hit the little sad tears, my little crocodile tears in my eyes saying I had to give back the Mercedes, but I'm available if you have a Mercedes on the lot for me, something comparable or not better. So I think that was in his little interview process, Bill.
Yeah. And, Kyle McCord, I think, is going to be kind of fun to watch because not even just because he's a local kid. I think he got a bad deal at Ohio State.
I agree. I agree.
And I think they probably ran him out of town. And I'm not sure that was fair. He lost one game.
Yeah.
So now is he that good or not? I don't know. He was good there, but is he that good? And I'd like to see the kid come out and have a huge year.
But yeah, I agree with you, Bill. No knock. I watched him play. That's where my kids went to school, and I watched him play quite a few times. Traveling down to watch him, and then Marvin Harrison, of course. But Bill, was he a product of the system? Because Ohio State is so loaded, Bill. But then again, you lose one game, Bill, and you're on the chopping block because you hear, next best person come. Devin Brown last year was on his heels coming into play. You're always.
But he got opportunity to play, and he wasn't any good either.
Right.
Either. That's the wrong thing to say, but he didn't show out either.
Right.
So maybe there were some other problems.
Agree.
Whether that offensive line for Ohio State was not near as good as it had been in the past. So, I want to see good things from McCord just because I'm not sure he got a great deal in this whole thing. And, again, you talk about system quarterbacks at Ohio State. They've run out some pretty good quarterbacks over the last 12, 15 years. Have been pretty darn good.
Agree.
So, it's not a bad system to be the quarterback of.
Agree, 100%. I agree. I think he got a bad end of it, Bill, because the one game that I'm going to mention, that Notre Dame game, Bill, where they drove down with less than a minute to go from their 20 all the way down. Kyle McCord looked like an All-American, Bill. He ran that team all the way down. He ran the ball up the middle twice on his own call to get the first down, called the timeout, and then the last play of the game, Bill, I still go back to it. Mr. Our head coach Freeman here, 10 guys on the field, Bill.
Yeah.
One middle linebacker was missing. They read that and ran it right up the middle, Bill, for a touchdown. I mean, a smart quarterback would do that. So I hope he does, succeed in up there. I really do, Bill. I really hope he does good.
Yep. Me too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Bill, you know what? Speaking of, you mentioned it, it's all about the money, Bill. Bill, listen, Bill, I don't know where to start with this. Bill, I think every show from now on needs a QR code, Bill, because can we explain this, Bill? Oklahoma State has a QR code on the back of the helmets, Bill. Bill, how many times are we going to zoom in every play, every time somebody gets a hit, a good hit, a touchdown, a catch, a first down, Bill, a timeout? We're going to get that zoom in, Bill, on the QR code.
On the back of their helmet.
Yes, and this is what it says. In addition to the QR codes on the back of the helmet, they will also be on each player's bag tag for the use during the walk-on game days for travel during the season. A QR code will be placed on coasters in the premium areas of Boone Pickens Stadium, on signage throughout the stadium, on the Oklahoma State football equipment truck, Bill. Is this what football has become, Bill?
I can't even. I'm not sure I can even talk about this. It just makes me absolutely sick. It's bad enough.
Oh,
I had Penn State season tickets back years ago, and I gave them up just because I was still back in Florida and I just couldn't make it work. I still get letters from them, emails from them every day, basically. I get emails from James Franklin's office to send money so we can be competitive. It just, that's bad enough, the continuous fundraising. But this, I mean, talk about exploiting players for the sake of money. It's beyond me. I just can't make any heads or tails out of it. It's all money. Just disgusting.
Bill, I heard, on your Philly Press Box show with you and Chet, right before us on 7:00. Make sure you please check that out. When Chet brought it up there, you brought it up to Chet, and Chet was like, it doesn't bother me. Bill, it bothers the hell out of me because, Bill, we're old school and we see, the rivalries are gone. The player commitment's gone, Bill. The education first is gone, Bill. Now it's coming to this where it's just exploiting players, Bill, for a profit to your university. My thing is, I know you get an education, Bill, by going there. You're getting a commitment to go there. You get a scholarship, Bill. But what really are the players getting? Is this just the way that they're saying you pay us back for the education? But look how much money is going into the university here, Bill. That's what bothered me. In on the signage truck, Bill, on the truck, their game bags, even in the lounge, Bill, on the coasters. Like, what is some drunk guy going to say? You know what? Well, this game sucks, but you know what? I got $1 million in the bank. Let me just scan this and give you some money. That's what we're coming down to.
It is, and you know, they're tying it together to one, getting more money for kids, but for improving facilities, for having the best of the weight rooms and the best of the stadiums and the best internet for Paul Spencer to do his shows, you know, live from Notre Dame Stadium. I mean, you know, it's the experience that, you know, and all this money is being put into these, not to mention the fact that they're getting millions and millions and millions, or maybe billions from TV. I just think it just went too far in my mind.
Yeah, I don't know even where to start and we've started, of course, but I don't know where to end this unless, like, you know, I just want to say this is just craziness, Bill. This is not what, you know, I will watch the game, Bill, because I'm really curious to see how this plays out. Like, you know, how many times, like, the over and under probably is going to be over 500, Bill, that they zoom in on this helmet. You know,
we'll talk about pressure on the broadcast team now.
Yes,
you know, you need to show that helmet 200 times during the game, or you know, 20 times, whatever, some amount of time. You got to make sure you get that in the program. You know,
exactly.
So, well, hey, I was going to try to squeeze this in at the end, but we're kind of leading into it, so I'm going to say hold my beer on this one.
Okay.
All right. Today, in Sarasota, Florida, Sarasota County or Sarasota City Schools, at 3:00, the final vote was supposed to take place. So I haven't seen the final.
Okay.
But they are approving NIL for their high school football players or athletes, I should say, for their athletes. The guidelines that they've put out so far, and I assume they're going to be approved, is that you could pay the athletes to do anything advertisement wise, print ads, TV ads, any kind of ads, social media ads, except they can't advertise alcohol, they can't advertise guns, and they can't advertise gambling.
Okay.
Those were the 3 stipulations. That leaves the whole rest of the world wide open.
Wow.
And you will be able to pay them. They cannot use their uniforms. They cannot use their logo. They cannot use their stadium or school in the backgrounds, anything like that. But if you have little Joey Smith down the street from you that's a good player at your local high school, and you want to put him on the side of your business and give him $100 or $100,000, that's up to you. So talk about money.
Wow. Oh man, Bill. I mean, Bill, if you're an 8th grade Pop Warner player, Bill, you know, in Florida or wherever you're at, you know, down there in that area, Sarasota, you're licking your chops right now, Bill, because everybody's looking at you as an 8th grade Pop Warner player, you know, best in your category. You don't even have to set time on the football field, Bill, to get a sponsorship with this deal here. Imagine giving a 14-year-old kid, Bill, a loaded gun with this money here. What, Bill? There's got to be a stipulation where they can't touch the money until a certain age, right?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. To my understanding, now this is just like allowing them to have a job, because they can't have a job because they're doing extracurricular activities, which is athletics.
Sure.
After school. So now they can be paid for their extracurricular job after school.
Wow. But now, how do you feel about this, honestly?
I think it's ridiculous.
I agree.
You know, now I don't know if little Joey, your neighbor, little Joey, has a little sister named Susie who's in the band. I don't know if Susie can get band money. You know, why not? I assume she can. Well, she certainly better be able to if everybody else can. She should be able to get paid as well. It's just, again, I can. Here's what I see happening. Kids, you coach them. I've coached them. Been around them for a long time. Kids are hard enough to deal with at 14, 15, 16, 17
Yes.
years old. And now all of a sudden they have an opportunity to make money to send home to many of these kids don't even really have a home.
Sure.
And now all of a sudden you're going to have someone at that home negotiating big money or trying to negotiate big money for their 14, 15-year-old kid who doesn't go to class, doesn't do the things he's supposed to begin with.
Great.
It's a recipe for disaster. Now all of a sudden the kid's 17, maybe he graduates, and he can't play. He's not good enough. Whatever happens, he gets hurt or whatever. Now you have a kid on the street who has learned nothing.
Bill, I tell you, times have changed so much. We got the QR codes here now with this, first the Prop 48 before, in California, that's going crazy years ago. But now, Bill, we talked about you don't have to be Nick Saban to walk into someone's home to come recruit them. Anybody, a Tom, Dick, and Harry can walk in there as long as they have a pen and an NIL deal, Bill. That's all they need to do.
Right.
A bag of money. Say, hey, before it was, hey, we can give you the education. We can give you an NFL farm squad. We can get you, relocated to set your family for the future here. We know what you are. Your game play was set enough. Now it's, well, Mr. Furman, what are you going to offer my son money-wise?
That's right.
We don't care about anything. Oh, you're giving us $100,000. Well, you know what? Hey, listen, Florida State is offered us $500 with the car and a new home. Well, Miami came back and said, we have $1 million on the table. What can you offer me now? Bill, I hate talking about it. I just don't know, Bill. I mean, this is the start of it. What is it going to end up, Bill, where I just don't even know anymore?
Yeah. The purity of the game that we grew up and loved watching is done.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be rooting for the colors of your team.
Yes.
Your jersey colors. But the kids it's just going to be a whole behind the scenes. Everything is going to be so much different. And, the other thing in Florida here, you pretty much can transfer anywhere you want.
Sure.
Now there's supposed to be some hidden rules that the school has to have an empty desk for you, blah, 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 whatever. But then you can transfer. And what's happening is a lot of schools aren't even able to compete anymore. If they ever do get a good player or two, somebody comes and plucks them. Now they're going to be able to give them money to get them to go besides. So it's a really sad situation. And then I saw, and then there was a deal up in Harrisburg, up at your neck of the woods, where the quarterback got declined to get his 5th year of high school football. No, they don't give 5th years of high school football. It doesn't work that way.
I agree, Bill. I agree. Like teams get richer, Bill. IMG Academy. I mean, they're a $1 billion school. Their stadium is better than half the college football teams in the nation, Bill. In your neck of the woods down there, teams are getting richer by the minute. The players are finally getting it. I agree with some point, Bill, but it's just got so ridiculous where, to me, Bill, I can understand getting paid to play football because you're making the entitlement for the university money. But, Bill, you don't get that money until – my thing is, Bill, I'm high on education. Graduate first, and then all that money goes to you in a check right there. Once you graduate – because, Bill, I look at Notre Dame years ago. They competed, top-notch every year, Bill, but they didn't have the players because the education standard didn't allow certain players to come in. Now, screw the education. Let's go buy the best players in the world to come play with you. It's just mind-boggling, Bill.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Notre Dame was known as graduating kids and putting out good quality young, in all sports, young men and women.
True.
Now it's just not that. It's not what we're dealing with. Anyway, I didn't mean to get us way off
no problem.
Subject there, but I did.
Bill,
I thought it was good.
I enjoy that because I like doing this with you because, your neck of the woods, my neck of the woods, we can talk about high school. We can talk about anything, and it relates to us, Bill, because it's our next, future players. But, Bill, you brought up something to me this week. We got about 5 minutes left here. The oldest players, quarterback-wise, Bill, Bill, I did not know Cam Rising was that old, Bill.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean,
25, 6,
25 years, 26 years
26.
old, Bill. 20, 26, yeah, about 26. Yep.
Yeah. So he's got
Oh,
what, 2 medical red shirts, I believe. 1 red shirt,
yes.
1 or 2 medical red shirts, a COVID year,
Yep.
whatever that gets him to 26 years old. And I think in the whole picture, it all circles back to what we're just talking about.
Yeah.
He's making more money playing at Utah than he's going to make in the league because he's not going to the league. It's not good enough to play in the league.
Exactly, Bill. Looking at, I wrote down 5 players of, you sent me the message there. You look at this DJ, from Clemson to Oregon State. He got paid to go to Florida State, Bill. He's 23 years old. He's making more money, of course, even if he get drafted. Well, I got my bag already. I'm cool. I'm okay. You look at Graham Mertz, Bill, Wisconsin, Florida. He's 23. He got paid again. Dylan Gabriel, Bill, $2 million to go to Oregon, Bill. From Oklahoma.
And he went to where? He was Oklahoma, but he was
UCF, wasn't he?
UCF first,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He got hurt, right? At UCF. Yeah.
Yep. He's been to 3 teams, Bill, and I'm pretty sure Oklahoma, again, I don't know the numbers, but I'm pretty sure Oklahoma paid him as well, too. Oregon wanted the best thing out there, so they went to get him. 23 years old, Bill. We have 3 quarterbacks in the top 6, really, in the factory this year, all transferred over the age of 23, Bill. And we talked about Sam Hartman being 24 last year, thinking he was too old,
Yeah. Well, and like you say, good for the kids.
True.
Because otherwise they're going to be out, setting an alarm clock for 5:30 in the morning and going to work with the rest of us. So if they're probably making a lot more money than most people by playing college football than most people that are banging that alarm at 5:30.
I tell you, Bill, you know what? There's some, hope for some people over 30, Bill, because my last thing I wanted to tell you, we talked about this. Bill, I told you there was a player going into his 9th year of eligibility in college football. He plays for the University of Miami. Cam McCormick, he's a tight end, Bill. Bill, here's a funny thing. I know you're the biggest Eagle fan I know. Do you know he was in the same recruiting class as Jalen Hurts? Isn't that amazing, Bill? And you still have eligibility left to play college football.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the backdrop on him. Why does he have 9 years? He
started off at Oregon for 2 years. He had 2 COVID years, of course. Then he had 2 injury years or something like that with his shoulder. Then he had, I think, 2 years eligibility left. But he redshirted one of the years, which I didn't know you could redshirt if you played an entire. Well, you played in previously years, could you?
Well, they changed that a few years ago. I think you could play 5 games.
Okay.
And then redshirt.
Okay, because I know it was before it was totally different. Yeah. Okay. So he has 1 year left of eligibility. He's in his 9th year this year, and he's like 5th on the depth chart, of course. But Bill, Bill, if you're the 5th tight end on the depth chart, Bill, what is the reason, Bill? 9th year's in college. I mean, Bill, you can't go party with anybody because these kids are under 21. You're 26 years old, Bill. Hey, you want to go drink a beer with me? I can't hang out with you guys. I can't.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's better than working.
Right.
If somebody wants to feed you and give you room and board and give you a little money to spend, it beats the heck out of getting up going to work.
Yeah, he reminds me of that movie with Will Ferrell, Bill. What was that movie where he was in college? They started their own frat. I mean, that reminds me of him, a 30-year-old guy being a frat guy, Bill. That's basically what I see him. But
and not knowing the guy, maybe his next step is that he's going to be a coach. Maybe he climbs over next year and he becomes a coach or does whatever and wants to stay part of the game. I guess from that standpoint, it's all okay. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of why you want to continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Bill, he is the longest tenured player personnel on the Miami Hurricanes. Let's put it that way for him now.
Yeah, right.
So he does hold some authority there, Bill.
Bill, that's funny.
The last thing, we were going to talk about some top games this week, Bill. We'll chime in on that 1 second. We'll talk about Florida State. But, Bill, 34 years old, what would you do if you played college football? Matt Gennard, Bill, University of Virginia here, father of 2, United States Marine Corps veteran, helicopter pilot, 34 years old, Bill, and he's still punting for the University of Virginia.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
From his standpoint, he went to the military and he's got eligibility. He's still on his 4 or 5 years of eligibility.
Yep, he has 2 left. He has 2 left.
Yeah, and you know what? If you could kick, at 35, they'll sign you in the league.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a chance he could go in the league. And he, if he's getting a little bit of money, he's probably on a military scholarship, whatever. Served his country when he was young. I'm all in with him.
I agree. Father of two. I mean, I don't think he's living in a dorm though, Bill. I think he has his own place. At least I hope so.
Probably has his own place, but they may be paying for that too. So
agree.
For the military, somebody is.
Agree. Bill, we have 1 minute real quick. You know, soft opening is this Saturday, Bill. You know, the biggest game, of course, is Florida State, Georgia Tech, Bill. What are you thinking, Bill? What are you going to be doing during that game? Are you ready for this Saturday, Bill?
Well, it's kind of creeping up a little bit. You sent me those games. I was thinking, is that this weekend already?
Yeah, I know.
But I'll be watching. I think I want to see how good Florida State is. I want to see them come out and be explosive. I think by halftime it'll probably be over. I'd be surprised if it's not. But yeah, I'm going to watch.
I agree. I can't wait, Bill. When I look at it this weekend, I'm thinking like, wait a minute. I know I start the Notre Dame show in 2 weeks, the week prior, actually doing the day of the game, doing a pregame show. And I'm like, oh my God, wait, there is games this weekend. I was totally mind blown, but I am so ready, Bill, because next week, Bill, we'll actually be talking about ready to go into the regular season, Bill.
Yes, we will. We will. Hey, I do have to tell you, in one of those other games this weekend, Nevada is playing. And last year where I followed Fresno State because my man Brian Armstrong was part of the staff at Fresno State. He is now the offensive line coach at Nevada.
How's this help first and foremost? Have you talked to him or?
Oh, he's good.
Is he okay? Good.
Yeah. He's good. But yeah, they had a coaching change at Nevada, and one of his old guys that he had worked with was the head coach before at Montana State, one of those. Mm-hmm. So Brian moved over there with them. So I'll be rooting for Nevada this year on the side.
Well, Bill, you know what? I think we're going to have a 5 minute every week to go. Let's say go Wolfpack, because if he's in Nevada there, we have to start talking about them, of course. That's a good thing, though. I mean, I'm glad he's doing well. I thought it was like a health thing where he had to step down, but congratulations out there. At least you went to another school, and you know what? Maybe it's easier, Bill, because he was the head coach, correct?
No. He was the O-line coach.
Okay, O-line. Okay.
The head coach, he wasn't the one with the problem. The head coach was the one that had the.
Okay, gotcha.
But as it turned out, Brian had left there anyway, and then I'm forgetting what his name was.
Yeah.
Anyway, the head coach ended up stepping. Jeff Tedford, was it?
Yeah, I think it was. No, it wasn't Tedford. No. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, he
stepped down. As soon as we get off, Bill, remember, you'll text me and I'll text you at the same time. Yep.
Right. But yeah, so Brian's at Nevada, so he's the O-line coach there. I'll be looking forward to that.
What division are they in? What conference, Bill? Nevada Wolfpack.
No,
I don't. That's the crazy.
I can't say I've ever followed Nevada Wolfpack football.
Me either. Maybe Big Sky or Big West or one of those two out there.
Right.
Has to be something out there. Well, Bill, where can they find you? Because I know 7:00 p.m. comes every Wednesday. Wednesday night is my best night of the week. I watch you. Then we are on here together. But where can they find that 7:00 show, Bill?
Philly Press Box Radio Wednesday night 7:00. Just finished our show tonight before this show. Mm-hmm. You can also find Philly Press Box on Philly Press Box Radio on Facebook. Check that out. There's some Twitter going on as well. No website anymore. It got hacked and stolen. Check us out.
But Bill, real quick, you got a special guest next week. We had him on the show, the Goon.
The Goon, Keith Conlon, former offensive tackle for the undefeated Penn State Nittany Lions in 1994 with Kerry Collins, Kajana Carter, and that bunch. Goon will be joining us. We're going to actually have we have some commitments next week. So 1:00 Wednesday we'll be live, and then we're probably going to try to show it again at 7. But 1:00 next week, talking college football with Goon, Keith Conlon.
Sounds good. Are you going to be available next week, Bill? Because I know you have a fire. Okay,
I'm not the one with the commitment.
Oh, okay. I thought it was, because the way Chad looked at you, I thought he was like, "Oh, Bill has something to do."
No, he's the one with the commitment.
Okay, gotcha. Well, Bill, how about we give a preview for next week? it's not soft opening. We'll be talking about, we'll recap the Florida State games and Nevada games as well. But Bill, we'll be talking about our top 5. I think this year, Bill, I think we're going to do, our top 3 games apiece, and then we'll come in, offensive player who we're looking at. Think it's too early to go Heisman candidate yet, Bill, or not?
Let's do it next week. Yeah, let's talk about it next week. What the heck? We'll throw it out there and see how we stand 13 weeks from now, 14 weeks from now.
I hate to say who I'm going to pick, Bill, because I don't even think he's probably going to finish the season. It's so hard to predict now, it really is. But guys, listen, thank you for tuning in. This is College Football Frenzy. My name is Paul Spencer. That is the legend, Bill Furman. Please check him out on Philly Press Box Radio every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Once again, Bill, thank you for joining me, and we'll be back next week to talk college football week 1, Bill. It's finally
Can't wait. Let's do it.
Definitely. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 8:05. Until then, have a safe weekend and be safe.